Michelle Metzger's passion for writing was evident from the first time we met her as a member of our first Young Writers Workshop in the summer of 2009. A talented fiction writer, Michelle's work as an intern this year promoting and putting together the summer 2013 Young Writers Workshop has brought her experience full circle.
Hey, I'm Michelle Metzger. On the thing it says that I write fiction and poetry, and I'm reading some fiction for you today. I actually wrote this piece as an exercise from John Brandon's class, so thanks for a great exercise. And I'd also like to thank all the professors, because without you guys, we would not be here, so thank you. Carol threaded her fingers through Jack's as I sat in contented silence, waiting for their plane to board. Every few seconds, she would glance at him, and when she turned away, he would glance at her. An old woman carrying a small package, wrapped in red paper, shuffled up to them. A cloud of potent perfume surrounded her, and the peach cardigan she wore clashed with her mint green slacks and tan nursing shoes. "Excuse me." Her voice had a curious cackling quality, and she had forgotten a curler just above her left ear. "Are you two traveling to Hawaii?" "On our honeymoon," said Jack, as he looked back at Carol. Carol grabbed Jack's other hand as they turned to each other, as though they were going to read their vows a second time. "Now isn't that darling," said the old woman. "Say, would you two help me with something?" "Of course," said Carol. "Oh, bless your heart. I need to get this gift to my granddaughter in Hawaii. Would you two carry it with you and just pop it in a mailbox when you get there? The postage is already on it, and my granddaughter will be so pleased." She held the package out to Carol, who reached for it. Jack put his hand up to stop the exchange. "Just a minute now." "Jack." Carol tried to reach around his arm for the package. "Carol," Jack turned to the old woman. Why don't you just mail it to your granddaughter yourself? You said the postage was already paid." "Well, yes, but I don't trust the airlines. I mailed cookies to her once and they arrived in crumbs. Those people just toss things about. I can't have this arrive broken." Jack shook his head. "I'm sorry, but you're going to have to find some other way." "Jack, she's an old woman, not a terrorist." "We can't know that." Jack eyed the old woman, who still held the package out. "It's already been through security." The old woman's eyes began to water. "I love my country. My husband is a veteran." "Which war?" asked Jack. "The Korean War. He passed on just last year, and my granddaughter is all I have left in the world." The old woman squeezed her eyes shut, making them water. Jack crossed his arm and loomed over the woman like a TV interrogator. "If you're not boarding, how did you get in here?" "I asked the young man at the gate, and he told me I had 5 minutes to find someone to help me. He checked my package himself." Carol moved around Jack and took the package from the woman. "See, it's fine. We'll take good care of it, ma'am." "What's in it?" asked Jack. "I would feel more comfortable not telling you, young man." "No, absolutely not." He turned to Carol and looked her in the eye. "We are not taking a package of unknown contents on a plane. I'm fairly certain it's illegal." Carol leaned down and tucked the box into her carry-on. "We are helping her, Jack." "Bless you, dear." Emily put her hands over her heart. "Now I've got to go, or that nice young man who let me in will come looking for me." She turned and called back, "Congratulations to you both." Just as she disappeared behind a family in loud floral t-shirts, they heard the announcement that their plane was ready to board. Jack grabbed Carol by the shoulders. "You can't take that package on the plane." Carol shrugged him off and bent down to pick up her carry-on. "Stop being so dramatic. I'm sure it's fine. You've always had a problem with trusting people." She started walking to the end of the boarding line. Jack shouldered his bag and followed. "Carol, I married you. That's the highest level of trust there is." "What are you talking about? Trust doesn't have levels. You either do or you don't." "Then degrees. There are degrees of trust. I trust my mother more than my dentist, and I trust you more than I trust that woman." "Good, then trust me, it'll be fine." She handed their boarding passes to the gate attendant and marched onto the plane. Jack followed her to their seats. They both stuffed their carry-ons in the overhead compartment and sat down. "Look, something just isn't sitting right with me about this. There was something about that woman. Her story was off. I mean, a TSA guy just let her in to find someone to carry her mysterious package to Hawaii. She needed help, Jack. That's all we need to know. This is just like the time you got mad when I gave that homeless man bus fare too." Jack pounded the armrest. "He was not going to use it for the bus. She could have just given us a bomb or something." "Shh. Are you crazy? You can't say bomb on a plane." "I'm telling you, we've got to get rid of that box." He stood and started digging out Carol's carry-on. The pre-flight announcements came on. "What are you doing? Sit down." Carol's bag got stuck and Jack put his foot on the seat in order to wrench it out. "Excuse me, sir," a flight attendant tapped Jack on the shoulder as he turned around. "You need to sit down, we're about to take off." "Sorry." He sat, leaving the carry-on half hanging out of the compartment. Carol turned her head away and stared out the window. "You don't trust me." "What? Yes, I do. It's that woman I don't trust." "But I trust her. If you really trusted me, you would also trust my judgment. And you don't. And that's what hurts most of all." "Oh my God, Carol, I do. I trust you, okay? Then show it." Carol put her finger in Jack's face. "If you trust me, we will take that box to Hawaii and put it in a mailbox." The plane began to take off. "Fine," said Jack. "It's too late now anyway." They sat in silence until the plane leveled off. Jack brooded while Carol waited for him to say something more. When he didn't, she put her headphones on and began to watch the in-flight movie. About a half hour into the movie, Jack put his hand on Carol's forearm. "Look, I'm sorry, all right? I trust your judgment. I just don't want to start our honeymoon like this." Carol put her hand on his and gave him a wordless thank you. She turned back to the movie. "I'll be right back." Jack stood up and headed to the bathroom. As soon as he was out of sight, Carol pulled her bag the rest of the way out of the overhead compartment and dug out the package. She slowly and strategically untied the white ribbon and slipped her fingernail under the tape, careful not to rip the paper. She held her breath. Inside the box were a gold locket and a box of stationery paper with a note in shaky hand. "Judy, when I saw this locket, I thought of you. Please write back soon. Love, Grandma."